Welcome to the final edition of Day After Dynamite for 2022. What a year it's been of Day After Dynamite. 42 episodes. So literally, I only missed 10 weeks this year, but it's also because I didn't start until midway through the year. But hey, folks, I'm Will Washington. This is Day After Dynamite. And I figured, with Day After Dynamite being a show I started this year, and this being the last episode of Day After Dynamite for the year, I should turn back to where I started with this show. And for those who don't recall, the person I started with, the first guest I had on this show, is one of my best friends in the entire world, a man I've known for 21 years, going 22 this year, and a man that I have been to many a wrestling show with, including literally last night. Guy I've podcasted with for a long time. It's Mr. Theron Reynolds.
Well. Back again, I see. It smells like bitch in here, Will. But you know what? I didn't mean that in the least bit at all. Mr. Washington, how are you today, good sir?
I am good. I just got home because for those for those not in the Denver area, when we walked into Dynamite, I'll say this. When we walked in, it was raining. But it was, you know, this little drizzle. You had your hood up and all that, people standing in line, but like it wasn't too bad. But when we came outside, my God, it was the snow was already inches deep at that point.
It was the Christmas weather that I thought we were gonna have that we didn't get to have on Christmas. Everybody else on the East Coast got now.
Oh, yeah. See, the thing about this kind of weather is this is perfect for Christmas when you don't have shit to do. When you're sitting at home, this is perfect sit-at-home weather. But no, when you have to drive and look, every time AEW comes to town, which is the second time they've come to town, they don't ever actually come to Denver. They come to Broomfield. And Broomfield is not Denver. It's like 15 minutes outside downtown Denver, which isn't too bad. But like as far as the suburbs of Denver and like Aurora and things like that, you're looking at a good half an hour. Took me 45 minutes in traffic. It's not Denver. And so either way, that trek isn't so bad when you don't have all that like nasty weather. But we had the nasty, nasty weather. I'm seeing people in the chat saying, one guy says, Avery says that weather was awful. 2 hours and 45-minute drive. How long was your drive?
Oh, my drive, let's see. So, we got out about 9:35-ish or so. I got home at 1:55 a.m.
Shut the fuck up.
I wish I was kidding. So, when you get out of the actual First Bank Arena and you're on, 86 or whatever the hell
36,
that road is
36,
there?
yeah.
36. Uh-huh. We moved maybe a few inches every 5 minutes. I wish I was making that shit up. It was the worst. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And might I add, Will, what did I tell you that I was driving on yesterday?
You were driving on a spare. You got a flat yesterday. What?
I got a flat. Folks, I got a flat. 2 hours before the show started, I said, oh man, it's just going to be raining tonight. There ain't going to be no hard snow. I ain't believing no stupid ass forecast. The joke was on me. I had to drive in a spare. I got stuck 3 times. I saw a car spin out. I think I saw somebody die. Well, in my head, I saw somebody die. But still, it was panda-fucking-modium yesterday. Ridiculous.
Yeah, no, so we had another friend with us, and I told her, like, text me when you get home. I didn't get a text from her till like 7 a.m., and I don't know if that's because she didn't get home till 7 a.m. or if she was just like, I'm not going to bother. But something tells me that she didn't get home till like 2 or 3 either. I was like, I'm just going to get a hotel in Broomfield and not bother like trying to drive home, which was the plan all along, mainly because the original plan was that we were going to get a hotel and kind of like leave the kids at the hotel, let them do their thing, you know.
Go get dinner and drinks and everything?
Yeah, we were going to go get dinner, drinks, all that stuff, and then it turned out, hey, actually, this hotel is the right idea because this is just where we're going to stay for the night.
The joke was definitely on me because I was like, damn, why did Will offer to pick me up? I'm on his way to the arena. That's rude as shit. And then joke is on me because Will wasn't coming home last night. So, yeah. Oh, man.
Hey, yeah, no, it was a disastrous snow, but of course, being Denver, there's not a cloud in the sky right now. Sun is out. The streets are like flooded because it's all melted. This is how it works here if you've never been to Denver. Speaking of people who adore Denver but don't live in Denver, folks.
Will Washington!
It's Jeremy Lambert. What's up, Jeremy?
How are you? I'm glad you guys are safe. I was sitting back there listening to these stories, and Will, I saw your pictures, and it looked horrendous out there. So I'm glad everyone made it home safe.
Oh yeah. So after the show was over, I get back to the hotel, and pretty much every wrestler is just standing around like, where the fuck is their food? Because every place like closed early. And we found one place. It was Dave & Buster's. And we're like, okay, let's go to Dave & Buster's because at least they've got food. We get to Dave & Buster's. I have to talk about, I'll tell a story about my little tiny Nissan Leaf and trying to pack wrestlers in that, and how silly that looks. And cause like it looks very carish when you're when you're dealing with people like significantly bigger and like trying to pile in a backseat. But we ended up getting to Dave & Buster's and bumping into Nyla Rose, and Nyla's like, "Good luck." They just announced over the speakers that they're closing the kitchen early, and that was like 5 minutes ago. So,
wait, this seems unusual for you at a Dave & Buster's?
And so, yeah, I go and ask, and sure enough, they're like, yeah, kitchen's closed. We're actually shutting down early for weather. And so, no, and I almost spun out. We were like, we got to get some fucking food. And we ended up driving around. We found a Wendy's, and we literally just ate Wendy's. I get back to the hotel. All the wrestlers have found an open 7-Eleven that they raided, and that was like pretty much it. Like, well, because they
7-Eleven burrito.
Well, because none of them had cars, right? So it was one of those like, okay, we got to get to like the closest place possible, and like
7-Eleven was it.
Yeah, 7-Eleven was it, and
I do think it's funny that you point out that the Dave & Buster's kitchen closed early due to weather when we all know they close early when Mario Kart stops working. So I'm just saying, like, not that big of a difference. Yeah, come on, be real about that. Be real about that.
Yeah, so it, like my kids were excited for like half a second because they're like, "We're going to Dave & Buster's? We didn't know we were going to Dave & Buster's tonight." And we get there, and they're like, "Sorry, we're closing in like 15 minutes." So,
I have a question to ask Theron because people cannot see it on the screen here, but I can see it in the backstage area. Is this a pinball machine next to you?
Oh yes, sir. It totally is. That is a vintage Tales from the Crypt pinball machine, which was my big pandemic purchase because, as some of y'all know, I work as a DJ here in Colorado, and I was set to buy a whole silent disco setup and turn the world on fire back in 2020. It's going to be a good year. People going to listen to music. They're going to dance. It's going to be a good-ass time. And Jesus said, nah, fuck that. We ain't playing that today. That's not happening today, son. And so I took that money, and I said, well, what do rich people spend their money on? Because I'm not rich, but I got a rich people amount of money right now. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy me a damn pinball machine, and the rest was history now.
All right, so I'm gonna do a big reveal here, and I apologize. I'm gonna put you on full screen, but here we go. Everyone will now see the pinball machine.
Hit it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I could pan and show the entire arcade right now because the arcade is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous now.
Leave some mystery. Leave some mystery
for now. But yeah, I mean, look, T and his horror collectibles. I mean, I see Krampus behind you. You've got the Christmas Jason sweater on.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. Do you want to see what T does on his own? T watches a scary movie.
Check it out.
All right, what's your favorite? Because there's a genre of like Santa slasher films. So, and I think this is even a more untapped genre than it actually is now. Like,
100%.
I think they could do more with this. What is your favorite like Santa slasher film?
I'm gonna be real. So there was a movie that came out in the last few weeks that might actually now be my hands down favorite Santa slasher, and it does count as a slasher. Christmas Bloody Christmas.
What the hell is that?
I just got done reviewing it on the show a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
It is by Joe Bagos, who did the fantastic VFW about a bunch of vets who get into a drug war one late night. Fantastic film. And it is basically a Christmas Terminator story to where a robotic Santa that's made by the Defense Department goes haywire and just starts murdering people. It's basically adult small soldiers in Christmas is the way to look at that now.
Wait, isn't this just a Futurama bit? That's what they did on Futurama.
Yes. It is literally Futurama come to life with a kick-ass 80s synth soundtrack to it. It is gory as shit. Little kids get killed in it as well. It is phenomenal. Girl gets her ass eaten right before the guy gets killed by the robotic Santa. It is fantastic film. Watch it. It is on Shudder right now. Christmas Bloody Christmas. You will not regret it. And if you hate it, well, fuck you. You know, simple as that there now. It is fantastic.
But yeah, if you ever want to see, basically, he's my horror movie expert. He always has been. Definitely check out his YouTube channel and follow T Watches a Scary Movie.
Yeah, my top 10 of 2022 is going to be dropping tomorrow. So if you want to see what the top 10 horror films I thought of 2022 were, gotta check it out.
Well,
yes.
I will not derail the show any further than I typically do. Darren, nice to meet you. Will Washington, always call him the forbidden door of wrestling media because I just get to pop on this show.
And meet new people.
Yeah, meet new people. Then I message them is like, hey, you want to do some stuff with me? Have we?
Yeah, in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say it.
All out.
I do not.
Right.
Well, okay. You're right. I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm
All
a terrible
guys
person.
blend together. You know how it is sometimes. Now I'm Will. He's T. You get it.
I did not realize. I didn't realize it was the same person, and I think we did not talk enough. Was the main thing, and we should have talked more. And now we will talk more moving forward. Nice to meet you in the virtual form on day after Dynamite. I apologize. I feel horrible now. Will Washington, you guys have a great Dynamite review. Catch you guys later. Will, I mean, I've already told you this, or I've told everybody else this. Everyone check out the Tony Khan interview with Grab City. It was fantastic.
That's right. I interviewed Tony Khan this week. I forgot about that.
That was less than a week ago, Will.
It was.
Woo.
That's right.
I should have scooped everybody. And just announced it. Like I did the Swerve interview where I spoiled that one. I should have announced the Tony Khan interview when I got the heads up on that. But it was a great interview. I'm sure everybody has already seen it, but go watch it again.
Check it out if you haven't checked that out. There's some good information in that, and it was a good hour and a half conversation.
It was very good. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Jay.
And so don't forget, folks, we got super chats. We got humper chats. YouTube.com/Fightful is how you send us a super chat. And those help support what we do here. Please donate a super chat. Also, we've got humper chats as well. Humperchats.com. You can send those really at any time. And as long as you identify what show they're for, we'll make sure we get to those because they all kind of go to one account. So it's kind of hard to tell. But we got, let's see, we'll start with, what came first? We'll go with Avery Solomon. Says, our locals were awesome last night. Most are at the Roxy on January 8th. Hope you can make it. Also, the Elite getting booed was fantastic. I felt like it was mixed. I felt like I felt like there was a strong, because for all the Cero Miedo chants, there was a follow-up, the Elite, Cero Miedo, the Elite. So, like, it was good stuff. Yeah. Pablo, who I actually met at the event after the show, did send in a humper chat. Try to get that one up on the screen. Says, great meeting you last night, Will. It took us a good 2 hours to get home due to the snow and a semi-truck bus snafu on US 36. Enough time for me to process how fucking good that show was. Game 6 was probably my favorite match, but it's hard to choose. Thank you for the humper chat. I always appreciate those.
2 hours, huh? I wish I could have had that kind of commute. That would have been nice. I spent 2 hours on goddamn 36 just on 36.
Oh man, I 11 minutes to my hotel.
Well.
Look, I think
smell like bitch in here again. Well,
look, I'm going to be honest. Like I said, it was. It turned out to be the right call. It wasn't even my intention to do that to avoid the weather. It was really just to because we were like, we don't want to drive all the way back home and then back. And this is a rare time that I had friends and a family member in my city, and it was like I want to make sure we get to see people and be out after the show. And so, but that turned out to not be the case. Like I said, we ended up getting Wendy's and going back to the hotel. I ate a what did I do? The pub chicken sandwich. Is all right, I guess.
Is that the new cheese one?
I mean, they all have cheese, I guess. It's Wendy's. What doesn't have cheese?
Some of us are lactose intolerant, Will, and don't eat cheese on our food sometimes, Will.
Is that you?
Think about that. Well, yeah, that's me.
I mean, look, I haven't been eating cheese since I've been in weight loss mode. And that is one of the things I cut out, but I'm like, look, I'm eating fucking Wendy's today, so I'm going to eat Wendy's. I'm going to give myself the full Wendy's experience, and if I have some stomach problems through the rest of the day, that's the Wendy's experience.
I'm just saying. I mean, if you can eat Wendy's if you want while you're losing weight, you just gotta hate yourself when you're working out. Like you gotta yell at yourself and insult yourself while you're doing it. Like, man, you a bitch eating that Wendy's while you're running. That's how that works. Will.
Yes.
The hate fuels you.
By the way, I've talked about my weight loss experience and all of that, and some of my inspirations, but honestly, the biggest weight loss experience I had was weight loss, not experience, inspiration I had. This guy right here, Theron. Honestly, what are you down, like 50 pounds?
Yeah, man, I was a fat ass. That is the easiest. And you know what? I am very body positive, folks. If you are happy with yourself, that is all that matters in this world, is that you are happy with yourself. I was not happy with myself. I weighed I think 245 is what's on my driver's license from like 2 years ago or something like that. And I was very, very disappointed with the way I looked and my eating habits. And yeah, I'm a little up because obviously holidays. We talked about this last night. But I was 245 in March of 2021. And at my lowest in the last few months, I got down to 189. So yeah, took a bit, but yeah, and I'm proud of you, man. Screw what I'm doing. I'm proud of you because that's the thing. I know you told me how important it was to you to also kind of be on that journey and everything. And I'm super fucking proud of you for doing the work that you put in to get down to that. Because it ain't easy. It is not easy at all. And yeah, I am proud of you for your dedication and the work you've put in for that, man. That's the way. That's the way. Black power. There you go.
Yeah.
My man.
Kiola says, I was at the show last night. Best night ever. Billy Gunn, shout out my sign. Made my life, LOL. First non-WWE show I've been to since WCW or Nitro came, or Thunder back in the Springs in 2000. Last night was a banger. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who said he went to WCW 2000, right?
So that was Pablo who said that. This is somebody else.
Pablo, okay.
Yeah, so this is another person who went to, Nitro, so it was Nitro at the Pepsi Center in 2000, and that was the reboot show. That was the Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff show, which we talked about on the interview with Tony Khan. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, again, youtube.com/Fightful, the whole interview is there. And there was a Thunder in the Springs that followed that. But also, we got a lot from WCW. Spring Stampede was in Denver, and that saw and then the Nitro after, like we got title changes. There was a lot of stuff back then. I've been to. All right, I promised I would leave Jinder Mahal alone, but I'll say this: I have managed to almost go to like every show that's hit Denver, whether it's WWE or anybody who's done a major show here. I even went to, I've tried to hit all of them. The only one I ever skipped was there was a SmackDown in 2017 while Jinder was champion, and I just could not be bothered. I was like, no. I literally had the opportunity. Theron used to get tickets to these shows, and he had the tickets, and I was like, I'm good.
I actually remember that.
I passed on going to SmackDown. I had free tickets. I passed on free tickets because Jinder Mahal was champion. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And you know what? The other day, I went back and watched that show because I was like, that's like one of the only shows I've ever like intentionally skipped. I remember there was one show when I was a kid. There was a SmackDown when I was a kid. It was the same week as a Raw, and I had to skip that SmackDown. I was in the 8th grade.
Okay.
And I went to the Raw, and I couldn't go to the SmackDown. And the main event of that SmackDown ended up being Triple H in Austin, the 2-man power trip versus Kai and Tai. And I remember thinking, I think I'm okay. I think I'm all right. Because it was like they challenged like the toughest tag team out there. And then it ended up being Kai and Tai, and they like squashed them. But those are the only two, but I recently went back and watched that SmackDown from 2017 just to be like, okay, what did I like really miss? I needed to see what I missed in person. And by the time it was over, and again, this is 5 years later, I still felt justified. I still felt like, and I went and looked up the show on Cage Match as well. It's got like a 1 out of 10. Like it was definitely like a absolute awful show. And
I just want to say, you know this. You know what I'm going to say now.
I know you're a Jinder guy.
Because I am a Jinder guy. Will, don't hinder the Jinder, Will. That was legendary. My man Jinder Mahal getting the world title, baby. Jinder Mahal all day. He going to make a comeback. I'm telling you right now. 2023 going to be the year of Jinder. 2023, year of Jinder. We're going to put those away now.
All right. It will not be, by the way. That man just got squashed by Bray Wyatt in Madison Square Garden this past week. And this
Look, that don't mean nothing right now. That don't mean nothing right now, okay? Talk to me when Bray's done something, all right? Talk to me when Bray's done.
I know. Well, that was the thing was, so the funny thing about, if you've seen the clip that's out there, so it's Bray Wyatt versus Jinder Mahal. And of course, people are excited about this because it's Bray Wyatt's like first match in almost 2 years. Yeah. But if you don't know the context, Bray, if you don't know the context of this being Bray's first match and people just being excited to see Bray, when the clip starts, it's Jinder Mahal and Bray locking up and the crowd chanting, "This is awesome." And so you may be under the impression here that like Bray and Jinder just had like an excellent barn burner of a match, 5-star classic, and that's why. And it's like, no, they're just chanting because they're excited to see Bray. But honestly, if you're seeing this clip and thinking like, well, what did Bray Wyatt and Jinder Mahal just pull off? So that in itself is also very funny. We got another one. Ryan says, pleasure meeting you before the show, Will. Denver got one hell of an event. Hope they come back ASAP. Paige Danielson was my match of the night. You know what's funny is, okay, AEW fans, we got to establish something here. Because for a moment there, when I saw Paige Danielson, I'm like, Hangman didn't wrestle Danielson. Yep. But you're talking about Ethan Page. Okay, from here on, Hangman gets Page when we shorten it. Ego. When we shorten Ethan Page, it is shortened to Ego. If you say Ego and Danielson, I got you. But for a moment there, I'm like, Paige Danielson, that happened earlier this year. It's one of my matches of the year. But that was a long-ass time ago. Actually, we saw one just a few months ago as well in the tournament back in September.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's right.
Either way, got to shorten it to Ego. That then I know what we're talking about. But unfortunately, with all of the pages in AEW,
not enough pages though. Not enough.
Yes, not enough. And also, let's see. So Tom asks, Will, where's your Mogul affiliates gear? You know what's funny? I was supposed to get one. And that was a thing that he even said, it's in my bag. Don't worry about it. I'll get it for you before I leave. And then I spaced it. So I don't think I'll see him again till March. So either way, I mean, here's the thing. I do have tickets to Dynamite at the Forum. I just don't have a way to the Forum. If I could figure that out, I might be in LA, but at the moment, that's not looking like it's going to happen. Yeah, not looking like it's going to happen. But either way, okay. So I guess the story I will tell, because you know what, somebody tried to call me out, and you know who you are, because you watch this stuff. But somebody was like, Will was way kinder on that Mogul affiliate segment than most. Than he would have been on most other things. Like he was like, if this were WWE, you would have buried this. Yeah, it's probably true. Look, I have never claimed impartiality on anything. Like, I don't know where this impression comes from that I'm supposed to be impartial on shit. But
why would you need to be?
Like, I don't understand. I literally gave Swerve Wrestler of the Year in 2017. Like before he signed with WWE. What are you talking about? I have never claimed to be impartial on anything. I had him on the podcast as Killshot, and I was singing the praises back then. Like, what do you think this is? But anyway, I still didn't give the segment everything, right? Like, I recognize the problems with the segment. I learned some things about the segment this week. But otherwise, that's not a like I was fairly honest about it. I thought I was. That I think it ended strongly with the Cinderblock stomp, but that it I think missed the mark as far as connecting with the crowd, and I thought that I think Parker needed some work. But from what I'm told, the work is in. I'll say this. I watched the three of them do an interview with my dude Graffiti this week here in Denver. It was really Swerve's interview, but he had Grandin and Parker behind him. And staring at the three of them, I posted a picture of it while they were doing the interview. Graffiti, by the way, who designed the Grapsody logo, so shout out Graffiti. But as I'm standing behind them watching this interview and listening to everything Swerve is saying, and he posted some clips of it on his Instagram for people who haven't seen it. But by the end of it, I was like, I get it. I see it. I see the vision of the two of them behind him standing silently but looking menacing. Reminds me of the twins from Breaking Bad. And when again, with him talking his shit, but having these like two big guys behind him, I got it. And like when you see Rampage this week and you see the face-to-face, because Wheeler and Swerve was the main event, when you watch that, you'll kind of see the same thing of like, okay, I kind of see the vision. These two standing silently and menacingly while he does the talking is going to work as his heaters. Did the segment connect? No. But do I think it'll be fine? I do think it will be.
See, it's funny though, because like you did discuss some of that with me, like prior to the show and everything, about like the stuff that you had learned about the segment and everything. I didn't have an issue with the segment, and I don't have as close of a connection to Swerve, obviously, as you would. And yeah, I get it. A lot of times the crowd has to be invested into it to have like way, way, way more of a connection to it itself. I honestly thought it worked fine. Like, yeah, I thought some of the Rick Ross stuff was a little bit jumbled, but I thought it got the point across that it needed to. Eventually, that Keith Lee and Swerve like feud is going to be fire at some point there, and I think that his Mogul affiliates look fantastic. That is going to be like that beast tag team that you need. And yeah, they got some work to get done for sure, but Swerve sells the role so well with all the antics he's been subtly doing over the last 6 months or so. It fits perfectly, and let it build. Let it build.
Like I said, let it go. But like I said, let it play out. And like I said, I think him having some silent muscle is going to be good for him. Like ultimately, because these are his heaters. Again, the argument I keep seeing from people is, oh, why did he choose two nobodies? Who are these guys? You're not supposed to know who these guys are. Like, that's kind of the point here. This isn't supposed to be like a noteworthy tag team. This isn't supposed to be a guys that he's a part of. These are two guys who work for him. These are his muscle. And like, that's all this is going to and like they could grow into being more, but like at the moment, that's how you're supposed to see them. Or at least that's what I'm gathering from it. Yeah,
let Swerve build them up. That's one of the points of it. No.
But they are there to back him up more than anything else. And so I wouldn't have taken a team that necessarily mattered to back him up, because I feel like when you look at the tag team landscape, unless you sign a team, I feel like they would you'd be doing them a disservice if you weren't taking somebody who's kind of relatively unknown in this regard. So I think it's the right call in that sense. And then who knows? I'm looking forward to some of the stuff they might end up doing. I think that I feel like some of the seeds have been planted for Swerve and his guys versus Shane Taylor Promotions and Keith Lee, right? Like, I feel like that's something that could be on the way. I don't know. But just thinking about how Shane Taylor tweeted about how, hey, they took out my guy, like that just feels like something that's on the way. And I feel like there's just places they can go with it. I am excited for, if you guys haven't seen the Yuta match, yeah, it was really good. It was a good main event for Rampage. And then obviously Swerve will be working next week, in his hometown of Seattle. And yeah, some other cool stuff came out of the show this week. And travel kind of affected everything, right? That was kind of a big deal. Luckily, everything that got announced for Dynamite pretty much got to happen as advertised. But I know that there was some shuffling that had to be done with Rampage. But otherwise, I think it all came about into being a solid show. And yeah, there were some people I wanted to see that I ended up missing, as far as, and some people who ended up getting like last minute flights. So shout out to those who did end up getting to be in town, because all of the post Christmas cancellations, all of that stuff was just a nightmare. Yeah. But again, it's a good time. It's a good place, good arena. I like the First Bank Center. It's newer. Like, I think it was only built in 2009, which I say newer, but then I say that out loud. I'm like, that's like 14 years ago. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
But that's still newer relative to like the 20-year-old, Pepsi or Ball Arena, which was built 21 years ago. Or what, that opened in 2000, so 22 years ago. And what others? You know, it's weird that in Power Field, we keep hearing all these stories about how much of an upgrade it needs to be considered a modern stadium. But I'm like, in my brain, that's still newer to me, because I'm used to Mile High Stadium where the Broncos played, and like, no, Invesco Field, Empower Field, Sports Authority Field, whatever it's been over the years, like, no, that's still newer to me. And I'm like, nope, that was built in 2001. That's not newer. So I've been here a long time. So
we're older.
I know. It's like, it's just that I'm fucking old. And that's really what it is. I mean, I know Chicago folks kind of feel that same way. We're like, you know, the United Center is still kind of, you know, that was built in 94, but it's the house that Jordan built, and it's like, it's newer than Allstate Arena. It's newer than, or Rosemont Horizon, or however people know it if you were older there, but like, it's still not that new. Like, a lot of those other arenas are much newer.
Yeah.
Anurag says, Bryan versus Nice next week. It better have an MJF Bryan segment which delivers, or else it'd be hella disappointing. Bryan shouldn't book the matches, TK should. I mean, ultimately, Tony Khan's the booker. Like, just because anybody suggests the match doesn't necessarily mean they booked it. And yeah, I compared it on Twitter. I talked about how I looked at, what was that? That was Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving show in 2021, which was in Chicago. They always do that in Chicago, but it was CM Punk's return to Chicago, and he had the match with QT Marshall. But the bigger story of that night was that CM Punk had the confrontation with MJF in ring. And this to me feels a lot like that. I think Tony Nese is, and granted, I don't think QT Marshall's a bad performer, but I think when we're talking about the tier of performer, where they are on the card, I think Tony Nese and QT Marshall are considered fairly similar. I think Tony Nese is a phenomenal in-ring guy, and I think that he and Bryan will probably have a banger of a match. But I get why people see him on that tier. But I kind of look at it the same way. Bryan's headed into a situation with MJF. I think the heat around MJF in Bryan's hometown is probably going to be bigger than whatever Bryan. I mean, than whatever Bryan and East end up doing. Even though I think Bryan and East are going to have a bigger match.
Fantastic match, yeah.
Yeah. So, or at least to have a good match. That's what I mean. Let's see. Loster Amil. I hope I said that right. Says, now that the Tony Khan interview is live, what is your biggest takeaway from the interview? Great interview, by the way. Biggest takeaway? I think it's that wrestling can still come together in the face of a lot of challenges, because I think that he was able to turn a lot of things around, right? When I asked, my first opening question, and that was really the only thing I had written for the entire interview was that opening question. Everything else was just an on-the-fly conversation. But I had asked about 2022 being one of the more challenging years, and the way that, looking at it, it's like from an outside perspective, yeah, you can see 2022 was a more challenging year, right? Like there were lots of injuries, there were a few departures, and some moments that didn't work out as intended. But at the end of the day, there was also some great shit this year, and so that was my big takeaway, is that the way he was able to kind of spin things around and give us that didn't work out, but we ended up getting this as a result. I asked about Cody and, Cody leaving the company, and it's like, that was unfortunate timing with the way that happened and when it happened. That ended up giving us, but it was in the midst of the build to Revolution, which was one of the best builds AEW's had in terms of building to a really, really strong card back in March. And I thought, okay, yeah, that is a good way to look at that. And so that ultimately ended up being my biggest takeaway from it. And then also my percentage change on Mercedes Watch 2023. So that was, I don't know. It's an interesting time. And my percentage, of course, as people know, I went from, it's no longer a nice percentage because my old percentage of 69 is no longer the case. We are now sitting at 90%. Why?
See, I think you're wrong, Will. I think you're wrong. See, you think that Mercedes is going to be Saraya's partner. You think that's where it's going to right now.
I do, yes.
You don't consider things, Will. You don't ever consider the logic and money, because Tony Khan wants to make money, doesn't he? Isn't that the goal here?
Mm-hmm.
So if Tony Khan wants to make money in this huge match that's coming up, and you got to think about partners, who would make the most money as a partner? And remember, money is the key word, Will. It's not Mercedes. That's a dumb answer, Will. That's a dumb answer.
Here's where we bring it back to the first episode of Day After
when you
Dynamite.
Think about money, Will. You got to think about, here comes the money, Mr. Shane O'Mac, man. Shane O'Mac, baby, on that $1 million bill.
You still have that?
Hell yeah, I still got that Shane O'Mac money, Will.
Actually, I say that, but I do too. Mine's right here. It's actually framed on a wall, but I do have it. It's in my, for WrestleMania 32, I have a big WrestleMania 32 poster, and I did catch one of the Shane O'Mac dollars, which I will say, when that money fell from the ceiling, God, people, you see all these people like diving for it, like, oh my God, there's money falling from the ceiling, and then they pick it up, and it's just like a Shane dollar, and...
A Shane dollar is worth a copper nickel. I'll let you know that right now.
Well, hold on. My cat is in the room, and I'm trying.
What? You get the cat out there, folks.
But
know what's happening.
But no, what I was gonna say though is, at some point, I do believe that every Shane dollar will be worth 500 British pounds. That is the exchange rate that the Bank of England will implement after he kidnaps their queen. I have to say, by the way, really quick, where is it? It's somewhere around here. Oh, here it is. Who the hell bought me this for Christmas, by the way? This?
What is that? Street Fighter. Ah, yes. Street Fighter on Blu-ray. Not me.
I have no idea. This just showed up at my house. And nobody has identified or claimed it. But for those who don't know what I was quoting there, that was obviously a great quote from the great Raul Julia talking about the worth of the bison dollar. Street Fighter the movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. An all-time bad classic. Like, when you talk about movies that are, like, so bad they're great, Street Fighter the movie is truly it. I don't know who got me this for Christmas. I don't.
It's a wonderful gift, though.
It has to be somebody that knows how much and how important this movie is to me.
One up to the Master Roll Julia. You know
what else could be? What else is even in this, by the way? This is a Blu-ray set. What's in this?
How many discs? How many discs is it? Just one?
It's like bonus features include. It's got new interview. Okay, so it's got new interviews with Ming-Na Wen and Damian Ciampa. Wow. Okay.
I wonder if he's gonna be all gangster out in this one too, because you know that's all he did after Street Fighters, make a bunch of like gangster movies now. So I wonder if he's gonna be all thugged out in that. That's a good.
I don't know. This. I have no idea. Again, there's a lot of features here. I'm pulling off the plastic now. This literally just came. Look, it's steel book and everything. Like
that's nice.
This is a dope copy. Oh my God! It comes.
Here we go. Bison dollars.
Bison dollars. It comes with an actual bison dollar. Shut up.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about now. He knew the value of money, folks. Knew the value of money.
That's right. The Pax Bisonica. That was beautiful. So yeah, it's such a great, stupid movie.
You know, I actually watched the first Addams Family for the first time in at least 25 years last week. And while good, it's so interesting because as a kid, I totally didn't get the whole subplot of Fester not actually being Fester, and then researching that movie and finding out that didn't actually become a thing until close to the movie was done, because Fester was still going to be an imposter that just decides that he's Fester, as opposed to actually it being, no, he really is long lost Uncle Fester. Because it's like, something about this really there's nothing in the movie to make that make sense at all, except for that last end credit scene.
Oh yeah, well they're like thank God for that lightning. Got your memory back. Turns out you really are Fester.
Apparently, that only got added because the cast decided that they wanted Uncle Fester to actually be long lost Fester. He was just going to be an imposter that decided to be Fester, which is crazy to me. Crazy.
You know what though? So have you watched the new version with the new Mamushka scene?
No, I have not. Is it the longer version of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, so it just came out this year. And I can't believe that they held on to that for 30 years. There's a full musical number. Raul Julia, who is a famous theater actor, the thing he's most known for, has a full-on musical scene. Like, a lot of what we saw in the theatrical release that we eventually got VHS, all of that, a lot of what we heard from it is like reprises and callbacks to this entire musical Mamushka number that we never heard. Like, watching it in full, I watched it just the other day, and I was shocked at how much there was here. And I'm like, you had a full musical number featuring Raul Julia that just sat there for 30 years and makes the whole scene make a lot more sense. And you just cut it. I couldn't believe that. So,
if it's the version that they have on Netflix, then I have seen it, because that's what I was watching it on last week, was Netflix. But I'm not sure, because again, I haven't watched that movie since the 90s. I only watched Values, so I have no idea whether it was or not, honestly.
J Ruff says, well, what did Ty Mello say to you and your fam walking down the ramp? Also sending love and best of luck to you guys, Will. Best of luck to my guys, Will and T, in the new year.
Yes!
She basically healed them and then said, and then told my daughter she's beautiful though, and that, and that was it. I will say you'll probably see during Elevation, the biggest one was Athena, who like legit like upset my son because he fell for the oldest heel trick in the book, which was
give a high five.
Yeah, Athena comes out to the ring. She saw Billy, and she reaches out to him. She's like, come on. Closer. Just kidding. And he was had. And that was the first heel to do that to him. Multiple others did. And then he was like upset at the moment. And so you'll probably catch that during Elevation. One moment you won't.
Great interactions for sure.
Oh yeah, the one you won't see was Max Caster.
That shit had me dying.
He scissored both my kids, and then when he looked up and saw me, he's like, "Ah, shit!" And like, I'm taking my scissors back. That was
good. It was good as
that. Yeah, that was good. And so yeah, that was funny stuff. What else do we got here? Wait, really? Okay. Okay, I now know who the gift came from.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, and the best way to reveal possible, because only wrestling fans will reveal it this way. Who else would, okay. How would you think a wrestling fan would reveal sending you a gift like this?
It's got to be the McMahon reveal. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
There is no other way to do that shit now. No other way there.
Yes, that's exactly it. I just got a gift that says, "It's me, Austin." And yes, thank you, Eric Brady, for the gift. I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah, Eric Brady.
Yeah, so that was very kind. That's very nice of Eric.
So been cool people, man. I love that cat.
Yeah, and Eric, of course, for those not aware, he's my former co-host of RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk back in the day, back before the mass exodus of 2021, when I left. Oh no, it was Maxwell left first, then Eric left, and I left, and pretty much we left Paul to have to find 3 new co-hosts in a very short amount of time. But he did, so props to Paul on that.
Eric has actually been on my show a number of times, folks. So if you like hearing Mr. Eric Brady talk, we actually had a long-ass discussion about Scream 5 at the beginning of this year. So if you check my YouTube channel out, we had like 4 episodes discussing Scream 5. Very spoiler-filled if you haven't seen it yet, though. But watch it before Scream 6 comes out in a couple months.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to Scream 6? Of course you are. Yeah.
Of course. It's in New York, baby. It's in New York. Ghostface.
Who am I asking? I'm sorry.
Jason Takes Manhattan is right there. It's right there. It's the one.
We got shout out Jennifer, always great supporter with the super chat, says so happy to see T on throwing money for the final episode of the year. Banger show last night. Glad y'all got home safe. Thank you. And what was I gonna say? Oh, so we do have to talk about a big thing.
Uh-oh.
As Mikey Ruckus confirmed this week, it is officially the end of Light the Fuse, Bring the Boom, Dynamite, Let's Go Ignite, Elements Collide in a Flash of Light. That song has lasted over 3 years. That song premiered, of course, October 2nd, 2019. Dynamite live, Washington, D.C., Capital One Arena. First time we heard that song on TV. Cody had actually posted it beforehand, but that was the first time we got to hear it on a wrestling show, and it has been a part of our weekly wrestling for the last 3 years. To put that into perspective, across the nation, Union Underground, famous Raw theme song from the Ruthless Aggression era, that song lasted 4 years. Song lasted a little over 4 years. It was it debuted April of 2002, and they changed it, I think, was it October of 2006, so it got almost 4.5 years. It was a really long time, actually. Thorn in Your Eye, in its various iterations. The most famous iteration we got in 98, and that one lasted until the beginning of 02, so about 4 years of that one. But the song overall, I think we got almost like 6 years out of 5 or 6 years. To Be Loved by Papa Roach.
Papa Roach.
We got that song 3 years. What was another one?
What's the Nickelback one?
Burn It to the Ground, Nickelback. That was a good 3 years. And everything after that was just kind of like didn't really matter. They like changed them out every year after that. But even on the SmackDown side of things, we had what was the one that they had in 2016? The Come On and Fight Back. Start it over again, take it right back. I know they say the name of the song there. Anyway, Take a Stand, or Take a Chance. Take a Chance was the name of that song. CFOs. That one lasted 3 years, right? The last one we just had with AC/DC was 3 years. 3 years is about the time, right? Like, I feel like the most iconic themes in wrestling usually got about 3 years. Even thinking about the intro to Nitro, that lasted from 95 till, it was like beginning of 99, right? So that got a good, they managed to get like 3.5 years out of that one. Dynamite by No One Hero, they did get a good 3 years out of that theme. It's up there. It gets to stay. It gets its name, or it gets its place amongst iconic themes. It's now. It's weird that AEW is going to have its retro period. That now, as next week, we've got kind of a preview of the new graphics. We saw them on Rampage, and we got the new card graphics. Tony just posted one for Darby versus Joe. We also have the card graphic for what is it? Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. So like we've seen the graphics and all of that. We're just going to see it all come together with a new stage, all of that. It's interesting to think that now that first 3 years gets to be AEW's retro period, where people are going to post those clips and be like, man, remember when they had this theme? Remember this classic? Remember this? Like, because it's kind of wild to think about. 3 years, when you're 35, 3 years feels like a nap. But when...
that's forever.
Yeah, but like, I do think about the difference between 1998 WWE and 2001 WWE. Feels like two different companies, right? Like, that is like a massive shift in time.
90-day difference.
Or even like 2002 to 05. Like 2002 to 05, when you think about the difference between 02 was a year of like Hunter's domination. 05 was the year of John Cena. Like, those feel like two completely different eras, but that's 3 years. And when I think about the fact that Dynamite debuted October of 2019, and now we're going into its fourth year, it's kind of wild to think that they have a retro period now. They have a period where people are going to look back, and like, I already still kind of see that. I see people post the original Dynamite intro and go, man, remember the good times? And I'm like, that feels like yesterday. What are you talking about?
Just happened, yeah.
But no, I know for younger people, 3 years does feel a whole lot longer. But like I said, when you're in your 30s, it shit feels like a nap.
Curious if he uses all these new rap connections he has now to get somebody big to do a new theme song. That'd be interesting.
I actually haven't inquired about any of that. I actually wanted to be surprised, and so I haven't poked around on who the new theme is by, what it's going to sound like, what kind of flavor it's going for. None of it, and I'm curious to see what they end up doing. But there we are. It's been a few years of Light the Fuse, and that has been such a synonymous theme with Dynamite that it's gone.
Yeah. End of an era at the end of the year as well too, which is a nice reset. I like that. I like the way that lines up, that it's literally the end of the year with the end of this, and literally first episode of the new year. Everything's changed up at that point. I think that's a good way to do it than just the random way that it would happen in WWE a lot of times. I know sometimes they save it for their season premieres, but it just seems so random a lot of the time.
Well, with SmackDown, it was really random, right? Because like SmackDown changed up the graphics like a year ago, but they kept the song, and then they changed the song like 2 months ago, and it didn't. There wasn't any like uniformity with it. It wasn't like that kind of blank slate. Because I remember those premieres where you got like all of those changes used to feel like really special. Where like, oh shit, I'm seeing a brand new Raw. I'm getting new graphics, new set, new all of this. I remember that first time that they debuted the Ruthless Aggression set. I remember this feeling of like, damn, that era is over. The Attitude Era. Like, I remember feeling in that moment like the Attitude Era had just ended, because the set I knew, the song I knew. Like, the show was actually jarring for a good hour before I could even mentally adjust to seeing the set, hearing this song, any of it making any sense to me. And yeah, they're a little more casual with it now. Like, Raw did that too, where Raw made a slight change to the graphics. They changed the song, but it hasn't been like a big overhaul in a while.
Yeah.
Whereas like new set, new everything at once.
I will say, if TK really wants to get the biggest acquisition, if he's still not done taken away from other businesses, which is a good thing. I'm not a complainer about that, at least, but he gets good acquisitions in. But you know what will be a really, really good acquisition that is not Shane O'Mac, not me pulling it back to Shane McMahon again here? It would be fantastic if he took WWE's favorite
band. I knew you were gonna say that too. I'm like, he's gonna say Limp Bizkit, but how is he gonna get to Limp Bizkit?
There it is.
But WWE's favorite band in the whole world, Limp Bizkit.
That's right. We need some Fred Durst in this year coming up, baby. It's time to roll it back. If the Woodstock documentary didn't get you back in the mood for more Fred Durst, it's time for more Fred Durst, baby. Bring it back. Let's go. It's time to roll again. You ready to roll in 2023? Let's roll in 2023. Let's go.
Matthew Makovsky says, hey, Will, let's talk #Mercedes Watch 2023. Hyped AF. Of course, I mentioned that earlier. I still do believe she's the partner. Like I said, I'm like 90% certain she is. There's a few kind of tells that I would, because I guess going back to the Shane McMahon thing and why I believe it's Mercedes. I forgot that's how we got on the topic, by the way. But why I believe it's Mercedes. Let's go. I believe that, one, Tony Khan is very online, extremely online. He's more aware of the things wrestling fans are into and talking about than anything. He is fully aware of this rumor. This is one of those things that I obviously am speculating, but I'm speculating he is fully aware of this rumor. He's fully aware of why we asked about it last week. And let's say I'm correct here. If that were the case and I were a promoter, I would have done everything in my power if I knew what fans were expecting and what they're looking forward to. And if I knew, as a guy that I like to pride myself on being the type of guy who kind of gives his fan base what they want, what they're looking for. You know, as Tony says all the time, I'm not in the business of disappointing fans. I would level expectations very quickly. And knowing that, given the opportunity, he didn't, that was where my percentage shot up. I'm also thinking about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. WWE has a way of managing expectations on certain things. And Tony does too. Maybe not Tony specifically, but AEW as a whole. And what I mean by that is obviously there's a lot of wrestling media out there. I'm one of them. A lot of times when a rumor starts to persist, WWE will reach out in ways and go, hey, it's not that thing people are thinking. Like, it's not. Just trust us, it's not. And that's kind of a way to like shut things down, level expectations out, so that way when it comes time for whatever people are expecting, WWE can back off and go, hey, we never said it was that. And behind the scenes, we made sure to get to wrestling media outlets that it's not this, stop thinking it's this. And again, AEW has that same ability. And in this case, if it wasn't, probably would have leveled some expectations by now. Because, good example, The Rock at WrestleMania this year. A large reason that a lot of people are thinking it's happening this year is because by now, somebody would have shut it down. Because the rumor is way too strong at this point, and nobody is... Now, that said, there is a little bit coming out right now that's like, well, it's not 100%. Like, we're working on it, and we're still trying to make sure that, like, our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. But it's not 100% right now.
Eyes are raised, Will. Eyebrows are raised, not not Crocs. It's Rock humor. Keep going.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, but either way, that is one of those things where, with this being the biggest event, possibly biggest WrestleMania ever, they knew right now we don't have The Rock in any capacity, and we're just doing Roman Reigns versus like Drew McIntyre 3. Like, at that point, now you are in the like complete carny business of fucking people over. But I know they know that at this stage, a lot of people are buying tickets with the expectation of The Rock, and they haven't done anything to shut it down, which is leading me to believe that at least at this juncture, they expect The Rock. I don't think it's confirmed. I don't think that they have everything in place for The Rock yet, but I think that they know at least at this stage he's part of their plans. That could change because Rock talked about how as early as January of 2018, he was like penciled in to be Ronda Rousey's partner against Triple H and Stephanie at that WrestleMania before it became Kurt Angle. And that, that didn't happen at that WrestleMania. And we're in December right now. So again, stuff can change, but that match was supposed to be the follow-up to WrestleMania 31 with Rock and Ronda Rousey and Triple H and Stephanie. They were going to do the match at WrestleMania 33, Rock and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. Rock thought, there was a lot of people who thought as early as the Rumble, it was still going to be The Rock. So just know, at this juncture, stuff could change. As far as Mercedes watch, I think next week will be a really big tell, because by the time it happens, so by this point next week, we should have a lot of signs on everything, because by this point next week, Wrestle Kingdom will have already happened, night one, and which Sasha's expected to be at, and Dynamite will have ended, I think, and Dynamite is occurring after Wrestle Kingdom. So therefore, again, it is a case of, do we should know a lot. I feel like the hints should be in place by that point is my theory. Next week, I expect to be at like 99%.
Yeah, they'll be facing off, and Soraya's going to make a comment at the end of it there, but like, you have no idea who my partner is going to be, but I'll tell you one thing, here comes the money. And
I hate you, shut the fuck up.
Cut theme song.
She needs to say, here comes the Monet.
hey, baby, that still gives me 50-50 at that point there. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Caden says, it was weird not going to a Dynamite. Oh yeah, because Caden's been to a lot of Dynamites recently. You were at pretty much all those Texas Dynamites, weren't you? And all of a sudden, I was surprised that they did a month of Texas Dynamites, except for the final one, and then they went to Denver. But again, I'm not complaining. I was there. Orion Ben says, make new AEW theme like the Tekken 5 Cinematic Open. That's a great open.
That's pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope.
Got a new member. Thank you, Adelia Chamberlain. Appreciate that. So
throw a quick theory out to go back on what you were just saying just a little bit ago about The Rock. Would it be crazy to think that with all the crazy Snyderverse fans that we had in DC, that a contingent of wrestling fans made sure that Black Adam would bomb just so DJ could be free to work Mania this year coming up? Because let's be real, if Black Adam was like a hit, they'd be working on number 2 like that quick. Like, we already would be in the books there. And I've seen it. I've seen the movie. I'm just saying, are we crazy to not think that there could be
What do you think of the movie, by the way? I got 50% through it and then was like, I have to watch this another day.
I'll say this. It certainly was a movie starring The Rock. That is...
Look, I'm halfway through it, and all I can think is, what a fucking body count this movie has. I was not expecting that. I'm just like, why are all these people just like dying? And almost with like, I do you remember do you remember the Austin Powers bit, the deleted scene from Austin Powers where Austin takes out those agents and then they cut to their homes and the family's like having to be delivered this news about how one of Dr. Evil's agents being killed, and they're like, no, not Dad. And then and it's so every time now that scene has always reminded me. I always think about that whenever like a random goon just like gets killed, and I'm like, didn't that guy have a family? Like, and he literally just disintegrated. Like literally, Black Adam just like blasted him into dust.
Look, well, here's what I'll say. You know me. I am the guy that still enjoys the first Suicide Squad movie. And I hate Man of Steel. So my opinion when it comes to DC movies should absolutely be taken with a grain of salt. Because I have no common sense. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. Don't trust what I have to say. But I say all that to say that Black Adam was very average. I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was a bad movie. I actually don't think that most DC movies, barring Man of Steel, are bad movies. I think they're fairly mediocre. Mediocre's not good. It's not bad. They're just there. They are not movies that I will probably typically rewatch unless we're talking about the Suicide Squad. But they're very meh. And Black Adam was very meh. It wasn't bad. I was interested enough to see where a lot of these characters would go if there was a follow-up in it for sure. But I'm certainly not going to be upset not seeing where it goes. I think that DJ being so against appearing in Shazam and doing anything Shazam related, honestly, I feel that is a part of the downfall. People can say whatever the hell they want to about it now, and The Rock was going to change the power structure of DC and all that bullshit there. I think as a comic book fan and knowing how intertwined Black Adam and Captain Marvel are, I think it was a dumb idea for him to be so dead set against those two appearing together. I get it. You want to be the big guy in DC. You want Black Adam to be this big force there. Cool. Go do your work first. Go do your work first against Captain Marvel, against Shazam. Let that play out, and then move on to Superman. You can beat his ass for all we care. Just do the work first. I think that hurt. I'm just saying. Straight up.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with that, especially just in the sense that Shazam's existence plays such a big part in Black Adam as a movie.
Really does.
Really
does.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, talking about Dynamite last night. So again, being in the building, it was really exciting. And it's always exciting. But there was just something in the air. I think a lot of people who hadn't been to shows recently, especially if you're an AEW fan and you haven't gotten an AEW event in almost 3 years, there's definitely a feeling in the air. Hell, I have a comparison I can put that up against. WWE went 4 years between running events in Denver. For some reason, we just get skipped over. They weren't supposed to, but you'll recall we had a Raw in 2008, and then we were supposed to get a Raw in 2009, and then the big Denver debacle happened where they accidentally booked the Pepsi Center on a night where Denver would have played if they were in the Western Conference Finals, and surprise, they were in the Western Conference Finals. So Raw ended up getting the boot from the Pepsi Center. They ended up doing Raw at Staples Center instead, and then they did a whole match basically burying the Nuggets. And then the Nuggets ended up losing anyway, 2009. And WWE did not return to Denver till 2012 after that. So my point is that that's kind of a thing Denver's used to. But you could just feel it in the air. All these people were just excited to have WWE or AEW in their vicinity again. Jon Moxley gave a really impassioned speech. One of the things he said in the speech that was really cool was he said, some may recall who were here that I won the AEW World title at Revolution, and then I came out at this show at March 4th, 2020, came out as champion for the first time in front of this crowd. He was like, and then I went home and found out that the world was shutting down. And he then kind of gave a big one to that crowd where he said that, we've been a lot of places since we've been back on the road. We've been to Arthur Ashe. We've been to United Center, all of these big buildings. And he said, but it didn't feel like we were truly back until I could hit this arena again, because it was the last one that he had gotten to be at before the pandemic. And I was like, that was a great way to send that crowd home. That was a great thing. But the show started out with Bryan Danielson versus All Ego Ethan Page. Crowd is always into Danielson, and pretty much everything Danielson did got his patented yeses, even though he doesn't do it. And that was, as he's talked about, a promise he made to Bruce Pritchard that he would not take the yes chant to the yes movement to AEW, but at the same time, you can't stop the fans from doing it, and you'll never be able to stop the fans. And the crowd was really into this. Stokely Hathaway, I think, still has some of the best facials of any manager ever, especially when you just watch him at ringside, and he just is so poised with everything he does. So great. MJF, of course, was in the skybox. He had who he called the only hot woman in Colorado,
which multiple people pointed out. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. Look, Sierra lives here, man. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know for how much longer, but Sierra lives here, so
there's no way it's true. Fantastic match, though. Absolutely fantastic match between Ego and M. Danielson, though. Yeah. Man, I want big things for Ego. And I know it's a case of everybody's got to get their turn at some point. You got to build up certain people. It's MJF's turn right now. But there was even and I know they've had like a couple exchanges, if I'm correct, but there was even an exchange at one point between Ego yelling up to MJF up in the skybox. And man, I want big things for Ego. Not just because he has awesome theme music, but
I thought one of the things that they did smarter this time than they forgot to do at Arthur Ashe was they turned the lights out on MJF when he wasn't on camera, which, the problem when he did the skybox thing in Arthur Ashe was that the crowd kept chanting at MJF. They kept looking at MJF. They kept reacting to MJF and not paying the match itself enough attention. This time it was basically, if MJF wasn't on camera, they turned the lights out on him and kept the attention on Bryan and Ego. I thought that was a much smarter way to play that. But ultimately, Bryan wins. And he won with a regal stretch. That was a great little reference to his mentor. That was a great advancement of the story, because even though we wrestling fans are all aware that Regal has gone off to become VP in WWE, storyline-wise, MJF murdered him, and Bryan is still mourning that loss. And so Bryan paying tribute to his mentor, all of that, he's still upset about what happened to William Regal. That's still the story here. We're still having to acknowledge that. It's going to be weird considering, like, Regal can officially sign with WWE in literally just over 48 hours. And so it's going to be weird next week as Bryan finally confronts MJF about all of this, and he's talking about his mentor who's now officially in the other company. But I get it, and like I said, I think that's why I think that the visual non-compete is so important, because I get why Tony wanted that. If he's going to write this guy off of his screen, if he's going to write this guy off of his TV, but keep his faction going, no, this guy can't appear in the other company. That doesn't make any sense, because my TV is still reeling from that. No, you can't appear on TV. And the fact is, Regal signed it. At the end of the day, he understands. That's not what he went over there for. He didn't go over there to be an on-screen character. He went over there to do some signings.
But in a year's time, when that visual non-compete is up there, don't be surprised when you see the NXT general manager Bill Regal show up after that, because
Bill Regal. No, that's Impact. What's Bill Regal doing here in the Impact Zone? Mike yourself a prick. Let's see.
Same way they did. What's his name? Ezekiel and his brother now, or cousin. Same thing. Yeah. Bill Regal. He's back, baby. Let's go.
The Pro Wrestling Podcast. He says, "Don't discredit the Rock Theory." I mean,
I'm saying Snyderverse fans are fucking insane. They are insane.
Also says Black Adam needed more CGI upper lip like Henry Cavill.
Cavill?
Cavill? I don't know.
Regal.
It's like me and Jeremy Lambert. And let's see. The Yankee Power says Black Adam did change the hierarchy of the DC, but not with The Rock.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yes, that's true.
Yes. So, what else happened on the show? So yeah, that was a good match. And yeah, like I said, Bryan tapped out Page I just did it. Tapped out Ego. to the Regal stretch. And we heard from Hangman Page backstage. They told him he'd be clear in 2 weeks, which means just in time for the Kia Forum. That show's already shaping up to be a big one.
Gonna be one.
Because we already know match 7 of the Best of 7 series is happening there. We've got the tag match, the women's tag, and then we've also got Moxley and Hangman, which you'll find out more about on Rampage. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's some confirmation there. Yeah, there's actually a lot of developments on Rampage. Talking about the fact, and of course, staying away from some spoilers here. But what I am going to say is that talking about the fact that a lot of Rampage had to be kind of reworked because of weather and travel and all of that. There's some great developments on Rampage this week that really advanced some stuff. I thought when you see the outcome of and they're asking in the chat, did Jamie appear live on Rampage? She did not, pre-tape. But so it's announced on the show Orange Cassidy is going to face Trent. And actually, the logic of how they got there, of Kip Sabian saying, I eliminated you, Orange Cassidy, in the Battle Royal last week, so I deserve a shot at the All-Atlantic title. And Trent's like, but I eliminated you, so by that logic, I deserve a shot. And he goes, okay. Yeah, Trent versus Orange Cassidy. And it was like, okay, that actually makes perfect sense. The outcome of that match, I think, is really fascinating. It's almost a moment, and I think is going to have people talking tomorrow.
Yes.
There's a visual there. I took a picture that I'm going to post when it actually airs. So that was good stuff. There's storyline advancement in Kiera Hogan versus Jade Cargill.
Yep.
There's lots of storyline advancement there. And of course, just watch the show. There's stuff that moved forward.
There's big stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we also saw the setup there with Wardlow getting his knee knocked out there by Joe.
Yeah. So Wardlow got his knee taken out, and that was weird. It was, obviously to set up the match for the rest of the show. But we saw Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Top Flight. Lots of dueling chants of "Let's go Top Flight" BCC, and I really wanted that chant going, and I was literally about to nudge you because I wanted that dueling chant going, and luckily somebody started chanting "Let's go Top Flight," and as soon as I hear that, I just yell BCC, and
kept going,
and I did it one time, and then some others started chanting "Let's go Top Flight," and all of a sudden I hear BCC get louder and louder. Next thing you know, back and forth, it's "Let's go Top Flight BCC." That's how you do it.
And what a good match! What a good showing from Top Flight, Top Flight for sure as well too. I love anytime Moxley has gotten to work with the Martins, and great match showcasing the two of them against a very much a top team. And I also love the fact that they're putting more importance on showing the BCC together, just because it'd be so easy just to write that faction off now that Regal is gone. And I like the fact that they're trying to make sure to push that cohesiveness of the BCC together still. Great match. And folks are real. Oh man, that swing was over huge. in Denver
Yeah.
for sure. Now with Dante jumping over Darius, right?
Yes.
No,
so because originally it was supposed to be Dante getting swung, and then he ends up stopping the swing, and he ends up swinging Darius. It was great stuff. This crowd wasn't as into the Ocho thing as a lot of the Texas crowds have been, because I think a lot of people were expecting it. Like every time there was a count, I'm like, here it comes, Ocho. And then like, I think it happened once. But for the most part, wasn't there. And let's see, we got... But no, that was a great match. I agree with that match, and I agree with you on that match. I think it was a great showcase. I think Top Flight looked better in defeat for it, because ultimately these are two top guys in Claudio and Jon Moxley. But the way Top Flight got to come out looking good in victory was actually really good. I even enjoyed Darius going completely limp and almost kind of like baiting Claudio there. I thought that was great. This was a really great match. By the end of it, I was like, okay, we're 2 This Is Awesome chants into the show, and we're 2 matches into the show. What else could they throw at us? Hook had a squash, but basically what people were looking forward to was basically... So Big Bill, basically the firm comes out, they go after Hook. Jack Perry runs down. He takes out Lee Moriarty, and his pyro still hits while he's running down. I was almost worried about the timing on that. But that was actually the only mid-show pyro we got, so I was actually kind of happy with that. Nobody else's entrance had pyro.
Can I say on Hook, because I called it during the show as well too, do folks not watch the 1992 classic Hook enough? Because why have we still not gotten the chance of Hook, where's the hook? Why is that not a thing yet that has happened? I need y'all to remedy that at some shows at this point. Hook, where's the hook? All right? That's what I need happening, because nobody has apparently seen Hook. And y'all are missing out on the cinematic masterpiece there, right?
Look, there's a lot of chants I've wanted to get over, and they just haven't. For example, there's also not enough fans, speaking of Tony Khan when he makes his way to the stage, there are not enough fans of the 1999 classic. Was that 99? I think it was. 1999 classic Donkey Kong 64, in which we had the opening DK rap that had DK. Donkey Kong, DK. Donkey Kong is here. How have we not gotten TK? Hey, Tony Khan. Hey, TK. How has that not happened yet? Britt Baker has admitted Donkey Kong 64 is her favorite game of all time, and yet nobody has gotten the TK chant over. I feel like that's the one.
Look, Will, blame Donkey Konga 2, all right? We still haven't recovered from Donkey Konga 2, so that's why it hasn't happened yet, sir.
Yes. If you don't know the DK rap, you have to look up the DK rap at some point in your life, because it's definitely something. And yes, Tim Gordon, I know American crowds are too uncoordinated. I tried to get a big meaty men slapping meat chant going. Nobody would catch on to that one. I got like 3 people to do it. Anyway, we have
the backstage with Jericho talking about Ricky Starks.
Oh, yeah, he talked about Starks, yeah. And then also Swerve brought in the Mogul affiliates and was challenged by Wheeler Yuta. Again, that's the main event for Rampage this week. Elite versus Death Triangle. Okay, let's talk, because this is a match I've been looking forward to since I was literally sitting in my seat at Full Gear, and I see the match graphic come up and it says Denver, Colorado, and I was like, oh, what are you going to do for match 6? Does this even go to match 6? Of course it goes to match 6. But then they announced the stipulations, and last week, of course, was no disqualifications. This week was Falls Count Anywhere, the Jerry Lynn special. They even showed us a recap of times where they've had the Falls Count Anywhere match, and it has they showed us the La Sex Gods versus Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega match from that was a really important Dynamite. That was the first Dynamite back at Daly's place after being like completely on lockdown. and they did the Butcher and the Blade versus Young Bucks. That was also Falls Count Anywhere. And also, what was the other one? Full Gear last year, it was the Elite, or the Super Click versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. So either way, we've seen the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation. We know these can be wild as hell. Once I saw they weren't setting up the pyro, I was like, this is going to start backstage. And my son,
sure did.
Billy, was so disappointed because he's like, that kid literally listens to Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas, which is really odd for an 8-year-old to be listening to. But because he'll like throw the song on and then do the Kenny pose, and then right when it says "Don't You Cry No More," he'll do the Kenny bang.
Is he still too young for South Park right now, would you say?
Yes. This is an 8-year-old.
Look, well, we all watch crazy things. I'm just saying, one day, show him the South Park Guitar Hero episode there. He'll get a second kick out of it at that point. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, he listens to that song on the regular, and he was so looking forward to the entrance. And when I kind of like nudged him, like, Billy, I think the match is starting backstage, like, because no one set up any pyro. I don't think they're coming out here. And sure enough, match did begin backstage, and it fully live form. They went for it backstage. It made its way out to the arena, and once it got out in the arena, my God, this was a hoot. And honestly, if the show ended here, would have been one of the best shows I've attended in Denver. By the way, we're getting a couple more super chats. Just want to read these really quick. Going back a few minutes, we got Marco Dominguez says, late to the party, but it'll be good to see the return of NXT General Manager Omega Regal. Happy holidays, dude.
The Regal is going to catch on. It's going to catch on.
Orion Bid 666 says BCC versus Top Flight, a rivalry I never saw coming. Yeah, I agree. Jason PS3 says, think about it. Captain Hook and Peter Pan's real name is Jack.
Hook, where's the hook?
Orion Ben says, wifey was blood free. It's a Christmas miracle. I mean, yeah, like, because there was no, I thought there was going to be a bloodier affair, but no, this was excellent. I think just everything about this was, like, the crowd was off the charts for it. Dasha had actually kind of surveyed the fans beforehand. She asked how many are here for Death Triangle, and there's a big cheer, and then like, how many are there for the Elite? There's big cheers for the Elite, and then there's a Cero Miedo, the Elite, Cero Miedo, the Elite. Like, that it was all happening, and people were just having a blast with it.
And I appreciated that the spots that they did set up didn't really like it didn't like invalidate any of like their previous matches. Like any of like the table spots or whatever weren't as in let's pull out tables and do table spots. They were already like set up and everything. There was nothing with ladders at all. Like everything I thought was very well paced throughout this match.
And I thought the crowd chanting "We want tables." And I'm like, you just saw a table spot backstage. What are you talking about?
Literally.
Yeah, you literally just got one. But no, this was, I don't know what wasn't shown to the crowd, obviously. I mean, to the home audience. But this just felt like it never stopped. And I thought the exchanges between, there's that exchange in the ring where I know it ended with Kenny and Pac, but just the way it was all going back and forth was so great. They set us up with a believable near fall because I was baited. I was baited in thinking about the fact, as I pointed out, day after Dynamite, I had pointed out that obviously Kenny's been pinned, Matt's been pinned, Nick had tapped out, Pac had been pinned, Ray Phoenix had been pinned, so all that's left to pin is Penta.
Yeah. And
they had a near fall where we thought that was it, and Penta wasn't pinned. Ray Phoenix actually got pinned.
The loss again.
Yeah. So that was an interesting twist because I think they knew that. I think they knew when they hit that the Meltzer driver onto Penta on the outside. I think they wanted people under the impression this is it. I liked, again, the story throughout the match. The story you ended it on, which was that Pac was about to have it won in the ring, but we kind of forgot that Ray Phoenix and Kenny Omega had gone and brawled off into the crowd, and Ray Phoenix ends up taking the one-winged angel and getting pinned off to the side. 1, 2, 3.
Because we're leading to that split, right? We're leading to that Death Triangle split. Is that the story we're going into? Honestly,
I mean, it would be fitting because
he's been against most of the stuff at first. He was against most of that stuff.
Theron Reynolds, do you recall the arena in which Death Triangle was officially declared Death Triangle?
I sure do. Well, it was Miami, Florida, and it was No, that's not right. It was Denver, Colorado.
It was.
No,
so
it was Broomfield.
Broomfield, Colorado, yes. First Bank Arena. But fitting place to reach that stage for them, isn't it? But either way, we still have one more match. We have the ladder match, which is going to be insanity come January 11th.
That should be a good showing. That should be a really, really good showing because I feel like they've reserved some of the, like, maybe not their most well-known spots, but I feel that there are going to be some insane spots that we haven't seen yet. Because I know some people have said online they've been very bored with this. They don't think that this is a series that can go 7 matches. I've been entertained. I have been entertained by the 6 matches thus far, and I still think there is some craziness that they can absolutely bring out here in match 7 for this ladder match, honestly, because we're going to see a bunch of them. We're going to see a bunch of these ladders. And I'm looking forward to any spot that involves 3 ladders in that ring. I think there's going to be some ladder walking for sure going on. I think that's going to be a great match. That's going to be a fantastic match.
I agree. I think it's going to be a barn burner of a match. I think that because I have fully disagreed with the statement that these matches have been the same because they haven't been.
They haven't.
Well, because one of the things they've been smart about is either reserve spots for when we can truly do them when they matter, or do them in a way where they're callbacks to when they've happened previously, but to make sure that we're not just overlapping the same match. And they haven't been the same match at all. They've all been very different, especially match 4. Match 4 had Nick taken out, and it was really a handicap match until Nick came back. It's been very different. I've loved this series. I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I have, but because I wasn't sure if they could keep it up for 7. This is going to be amazing. And by match 11, January 11th is what I meant. This is not an 11-match series. I just think it's going to be great. Let's see. Caden asks, T, when we going to IHOP again?
It's a trick question. We're not going back to IHOP. We're going to Waffle House, and we will get that worked out for maybe Revolution. We'll see. That'd be nice.
Waffle House in California, do they?
I mean, they better.
Because, we got to go to Waffle House in Texas for Dallas. No, they don't have Waffle House in California. I see that now. Waffle House currently has no locations on the West Coast at all, which is weird because we have Waffle House here in Denver. Yeah, and so...
We're going to Roscoe's then? Let's do Roscoe's.
Okay. I would love to do Roscoe's.
Let's do Roscoe's.
When's the last time I had Roscoe's? That would have been 20... when would that have been? It was one of my California vacations. 2018. I think it was 2018 when we went on the cruise out of Long Beach. That would have been it. So,
we are not going to In-N-Out. We are not doing
look,
In-N-Out.
Here's the thing. We have In-N-Out here in Denver, and it's wrapped... on Thursday, on Tuesday night, me and Swerve were looking for food, and we ended up getting Qdoba. But we passed by In-N-Out, and it's the one near the mall. The line wrapped around it. Still, it's been open for 2 years. I don't understand this.
And it's not good. It's not good. The hell is wrong with everybody now? Jesus.
I don't mind In-N-Out. I'm definitely more of a Whataburger guy. I do think Whataburger is better than In-N-Out.
It is better.
And I'm from Los Angeles, guys. Like, this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, it's a regional thing.
I lived in Cali for 3 years as well, y'all. Nah. In-N-Out sucks. It's terrible.
I don't think it sucks, but I think it's like unremarkable fast food.
I'd eat at Burger King before I eat at In-N-Out. Well, take that.
Maybe I'm just not food picky because there's very few places I hate. Like, if I'm like, okay, this is what we got, I'm gonna fucking eat there.
I mean, I'm picky, but if they got something that's fire, I'll go with it. Like, I don't eat at Arby's, that Diablo Dare sandwich. I think it was work of art. Work of art. I don't care if it is horse meat. So good. So good. Fantastic.
Look, man. All right, I watched the TikTok of a guy like. Have you seen the TikTok of the guy slaughtering the turtle and like making it into like stew?
No.
Like, but here's the weird thing to me. So like he starts off like cleaning the shell and all that. And you're like, oh, he's polishing the turtle. And all of a sudden you see an axe come down and it just like I'm like, oh my god, I'm horrified. And then I'm like, I'm horrified for like a millisecond. And I'm like, no, actually I've seen meat be cut up. This actually isn't any different than like watching any other meat, other than the fact that this is a thing people keep as pets. And then he like starts cutting the shit up and then all of a sudden he like fixes it in the stew. And by the end of this video, which is only like 40 seconds long, I'm like, that kind of looks bomb.
I mean, ugh.
Look, I know it's a terrible genre of TikTok where like you see the video of the goose that's like in the camera looking all cute, and then it like flashes, and then it like flashes to the goose like on the table being cut up, and look, if you're a meat eater, you kind of have to be like okay with the idea of like it's that old adage of everybody wants sausage but nobody wants to know how the sausage is made, and honestly I am at the stage where like I don't care how the sausage is made. Just like, sure, you could show me 1,000 videos of making sausage and I'll still eat it. It's whatever. If y'all are coming to San Francisco for Revolution, there really isn't too many chains open late. Good to know. Thank you. But also, the thing I look forward to with West Coast pay-per-views is them shits are out early. Like, I was talking to an AEW talent today who mentioned this morning that one of the things they're looking forward to with Seattle's show next week is that it's over at 7 and there's no Rampage afterward. They literally have the rest of their night in a way where any place else you wouldn't have that.
Yep. It's not bad. It's not a bad fit. Shit, that happened with Mania when I was up there for Mania years and years back. It's like, damn, it's still sunny out right now. God damn.
Yeah, it's a different place. It's a different time. And yeah, even Dynamite being out at 9, or Dynamite/Rampage being out after, like right after 9, was something that a lot of people aren't used to because in different time zones. I was like, even for me, for as many East Coast wrestling shows as I tend to attend, I was used to looking at the clock and going, damn, it's after midnight. Okay. Let's find something. But it was like, nah, it's 9 o'clock. Like, nobody's closed.
Well.
Anyway, Caden says, T, come down to Austin and we'll go to Waffle House.
Shit, I'm trying to think. What's the next time there's a show going on there? We'll make it work.
Royal Rumble's in San Antonio. Only reason I'm not doing that is because we did that. We did Rumble in San Antonio.
Did that. Yeah, I got literally my chair is actually you know what? Hold on, this shit right here. I got this chair right here. Oh, that's my podcast, the chair right there. I
have the same chair, by the way.
Chair.
Yep, yeah. I have that exact same chair sitting next to me. Yeah, we did that. We did Rumble in and I have a poster sitting next to me too. I have a poster of Royal Rumble 2017. It says "Remember the Rumble" because it was the whole "Remember the Alamo" thing. Like, I've done all that. So, like, I if I want to see the Rumble, I want to see it in a different venue than... Because I went to the Rumble last year, St. Louis. That was really cool. And I will go to more Rumbles because it's a great event.
Absolutely.
I'm in the mode to, like, start mixing it up as far as these events are concerned. Anyway.
Go ahead. You're good. No, I was going to say, did I go in 2020? I did do the Rumble in 2020.
You did. You in Houston. Because, yeah, Edge's returned.
That's right. I remember that. There we go.
Yeah, you went to Rumble, and you had a view right behind the stage, so you could see who like the entrant was before they came out. So you were like texting me like, "Oh, so and so's the next entrant."
Good times. Like, hey, there's Edge.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, it's Edge, and this was like a good minute before it actually happened on my screen.
Yeah, it's good times. It's good times now. I was right there with that pyro. It was good.
Yeah, that's like ultimate scoops of having them just like a minute beforehand of, all right, the next Rumble entrant is this person, because literally I'm seated right where I can see people waiting in the curtain.
Which is funny. I didn't have a seat for that damn show. Like, my seat was on the other side of the arena. I was like, I'm just going to see what happens. And I stayed there standing for 4 hours. 4 hours near that entranceway, and nobody said shit to me the entire time. I was like, cool.
Was that the show where you got scammed? Was Rumble?
No, that was SummerSlam. SummerSlam in New York,
okay.
2017? 2017,
okay.
I think it was. Yeah. That was sad.
Yeah. Well, I won't make you relive that one. Orion Bid 666 says, who knew that Max would troll Jeff Jarrett, Karen, Lethal, Tyrus, and Sanjay, all on an inverted Hustler beat by Murs, whose remix was with John Cena. Wasn't that Hustle? Hustle. Hustle. You'll never find $1 that ain't mine, motherfucker. Yeah, but anyway, the remix also had E40 on it. Because I think it's just the original version that has Cena, and the remix has Cena, E40, and it's weird hearing John Cena and E40 on the same track. But anyway, that's I do remember the video vividly, and John Cena beating up children, and which this was 2004 John Cena, and then of course he becomes a hero to kids a year later. And it's like, no, I know what you did. You were Anakin Skywalker, my friend. You were slaughtering children in that Murs music video. It reminded me so much of the Sting Sprite commercial.
Oh, yeah. Running through the house and everything. Yeah. That was a good one.
You ready to wrestle? I sure am. He takes a drink at the Sprite. He's like, all right, let's go. And Sting beats the shit out of him. Great stuff.
Right away.
Yeah. Anyway, the Coffee with Collins. Remember the Rumble classic. I'm a fan of the diagonal entrance ramp. What's your favorite Rumble stage setup? Honestly, it's the Garden to me. I think that having the doors open, the video doors especially, and revealing, like, I think that was especially important to John Cena's return at the 2008 Rumble, where he, of course, makes his way out, those doors open, and he comes down with his head down. That's such an important visual that I don't think you can do that without that setup. That's my go-to. Also, because 2000 was also at the Garden, and I just think that visual of having the entrance on the hard cam at all times. Right?
Yeah. The car above the doors? Yeah.
Right. But because it's part of the hard cam set, so you see the entranceway the whole show, I think that makes for a better looking Rumble view, because you get it the whole time. You get it during the entire Rumble match. You have this backdrop of a Tron and everything, and I just think you don't get any better than having the stage behind it.
I agree. I'll throw in one, though, saying 98, 99 just for nostalgia purposes, because 99 was the first Rumble I saw, no chance in hell. And it's boring. It's just that boring circle, basically. But I think 98 did it as well, too. So I just have nostalgia tied to those there. So that's always mine. But, yeah, the MSG would definitely be the next one after that.
I just think any Rumble where you can keep the stage on the hard cam at all times, so that throughout the entire match you have the 3, 2, 1, and they just entered the shot. That I think is an unbeatable visual, and I want to see that more. Let's see. Then we had tag match. Ruby Soho teaming with Willow Nightingale versus Ty J. And I guess it's Ty JAS. But Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale make for a very great combination. I love Ruby Soho and Willow as that kind of. Did you watch Wednesday?
Hell no, I didn't watch Wednesday.
Of course not. You hate Tim Burton, but okay. But either way, I look at them as very much a Wednesday and Enid combo. Like, that's how I described it to my wife who was with me. She's like, she goes, this combination of the two, I was like, think of them as Wednesday and Enid as characters. And she immediately got what I was going for when I said that. Yeah. Because, of course, Wednesday, I really think you kind of appreciate the show for one particular reason. it's another one of those like Tim Burton's not exactly being honest about his involvement here because he didn't direct most of the episodes, and
he never will. That's my issue. He never will either, though.
Yeah,
he'll never admit it. He'll never give the credit.
But the way that the show kind of like presents Wednesday initially is, of course, Wednesday is, the kind of antisocial, sarcastic character that we all know Wednesday to be. Except she's 16. And it's no longer endearing. Now you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of sabotagey in a way. And you're kind of like rooting for her to have human interactions as the season goes on. It very much reminds me of Daria in a way where like, as Daria starts to develop a relationship with somebody, you start to kind of feel like, okay, she's kind of needed this. And like Enid kind of starts out as like a happy-go-lucky character that you initially are annoyed by, but by the end of it, you're like, she's kind of right, and she's actually the exact person Wednesday needs in her life, and you kind of start to feel a lot more for Enid. So
look, I love Jenna Ortega. That is the new Scream Queen right there. But I don't know. Maybe I'll review it for next year. Maybe that'll be a review coming in. I don't know. That's gonna be a hard one.
So either way, I said all that to say that it's a great dynamic when I think about Ruby Soho and somebody even in the chat said there was way more chemistry between Wednesday and Enid than any of the male love interests. I agree. I think they had a great dynamic, and by the end, you're kind of rooting for them as friends. Where initially you're like, okay, these two are polar opposites of each other. Like they're gonna get annoyed, but like you're kind of starting to root for them as. You want to see them get along. You want to see it happen. And I feel like Ruby having that kind of annoyed face as Willow has her infectious joy. And I like this combination. Now, initially, they don't have it together. That's ultimately brought them down against Anna Jay and Ty Mello. Crowd was really into this. I was very surprised because I thought that they'd be worn down by the Falls Count Anywhere match. I didn't think they were. I thought they were very into this. I thought there was a couple of mistimed spots here, specifically with Ruby in the chair that ended the match. But I also felt like this was gonna lead to a no disqualification situation since we got last year at New Year's Smash Anna Jay and Ty against Bunny and Penelope Ford, and they have kind of shown that that's their mode of expertise. Is what they do is that no disqualification type scenario. Yeah. So it seems like they set up.
It's the right people for a match like that as well too. I think that match could actually do some wonders for all involved, obviously, and I definitely think that Anna Jay absolutely kills and no DQ matches as well too. So I think that's a great setup for that. That'd be a nice addition.
Yeah, and that's I think where it's going to, and I think that's why they had the chair set up. And yeah, that was what it was. So talking about the Max Caster rap, that got some reactions in the crowd. Every line hit. I saw Karen Jarrett's response on Twitter. I don't know if for people who have seen that, but she was not happy with that. The line that you stealing money from the business like you stole Kurt Angle's wife. Like, whoa. Max went, I think, harder in that rap than he's gone in any rap he's ever dropped. That was a big one. That was really good. I mean, that to me is pro wrestling, and I loved it. I think this was just like, I can't believe it got away with a lot of what he said there.
It was fun though. That was good. But anytime they get to do these in any of their feuds that they're in, it's like they always like raise the stakes with these raps. So good. Mm-hmm. So good. Yeah.
Great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ring of, he called Jay Lethal Ring of Honor's top guy from their bad years. Like, the TNA, all of it was great stuff. I'm so glad Max Caster's allowed to go there.
I mean, he's got to get it approved. I'm just saying. It's good stuff. It's good stuff for sure.
Yeah. And finally, TNT title on the line. Samoa Joe, one-on-one with Wardlow in his rematch for the title. I said last week I was of the belief that after that incredible match that Samoa Joe and Darby Allin had 3 weeks ago on Dynamite, that the hotter feud right now seems to be Joe and Darby, and that it would be a mistake to put things back on Wardlow. I now fully believe that, and I fully believe that Darby should just get the TNT title next week. Not that this was a bad match, actually. I think Wardlow worked the crowd back into it. I think him working from behind with the handicap definitely helped get the crowd more into it, because they were kind of there for Joe. And there were a lot of Joe chants, including there was a guy in the crowd named Joe with a sign pointing down that said Joe. And he was getting a lot of Joe chants throughout the show, which I think was helping the crowd be into the idea of chanting Joe, because we had already been chanting Joe for this guy named Joe. And so once Samoa Joe comes out, the crowd is like fully in Joe mode. And I thought, this is not good for Wardlow.
Yeah, he did not have, like, until about halfway through the match, I think the crowd was really way more pro Joe than they were pro Wardlow. But he got him back, like you said, for sure. He got him back on this.
Yeah, he got him in. He got him into it. But
and there was a huge pop for that power bomb that he pulled off.
Yeah, that power bomb. Huge pop. But ultimately, Wardlow, they had the EMTs checking on him. He was really trying to. They're really telling the sympathy story of his leg wasn't in great shape due to the attack earlier in the show, and he was trying to work against it. But ultimately, Joe won, Coquina clutch, and then he cut Wardlow's hair, and then new look, and then Darby's music hits. Darby makes his way out, and he attacks Joe, and it's now announced next week on Dynamite, live from Seattle, Darby's hometown, Darby versus Samoa Joe. I think Darby takes back the TNT title, and I think he should. And I think he should for one reason. I see the chat saying that, no, Samoa Joe's reign is too hot. Samoa Joe is on a tear. Let him keep it. Disagree for one reason. I know respectfully we call Brody Lee the greatest TNT champion of all time. And I think that's the right title he should have, simply because of the legacy he leaves behind in his passing. But I do think that pound for pound, stat for stat, I actually think Darby's run is the best TNT championship run of all time. And I think the issue with his run, of course, was the fact that Darby's entire run happened in the pandemic. He didn't get to hold the belt in front of a crowd. Cody did get to win the belt back in front of a crowd. Because thinking about who are the pandemic era TNT champions, it was Cody, Brody, and Darby. All the rest of them got to hold it in front of the fans. Cody did win the belt back in front of the fans. Obviously, they can't redo Brody's, but I think Darby never got to have one. Never got to have the run in front of the crowds, and I think it is probably time to revisit that and give him a proper TNT championship run. The beauty of Joe is that you still do have the Ring of Honor Television Championship, and I think that he probably, with the Ring of Honor weekly TV show launching here, they said in January, that's probably where Joe has to be. Yeah, that's where Joe's probably going to have to be focused. I think you should put the title on Darby Allin. I still, at that point, Sheeta's the only one, because everybody else, Jon Moxley had a pandemic era run, but he ultimately did win the belt back eventually. FTR still hasn't, and I think they are going to win the tag titles at some point. Who else? What are the other belts? But really, and it's just Hikaru Shida. It's Hikaru Shida and FTR are kind of the only two who never really got another run with belts. If Darby wins it next week, and I think he's going to. That's my gut feeling.
Okay. Not a Darby fan myself, but I could see the logic. For sure.
I mean, look, they're in his hometown. And there's 3 hometown acts, and they're the front and center of the poster for Seattle. It is Swerve Strickland, Darby Allin, and Bryan Danielson. All 3 will have matches next week, and all three are going to be wrestling on Dynamite. This is kind of their show, especially with the AEW guys who are going to be in Japan. Because you're going to have FTR in Japan. You're going to have Kenny Omega in Japan. I don't know. I think there's ways to tell the story of this being kind of just their show. Because I think at this point now, yeah, we know of, 4 or 5 matches for that show in Seattle?
Yeah.
Either way.
So?
I think it's going to be a good show, too. I think that...
it's going to be hot.
Yeah, because I think the new presentation, I think doing Jericho and Ricky Starks now is going to be good. Yeah, we'll see. But again, I want to see Darby kind of go on that run he was having before, just with crowds around, because he had some great title defenses. I think the match with Jungle Boy, great stuff. Match with Scorpio Sky was great, and I think he was just having a great run with the belt really till he lost to Miro, and that's because it was time for Miro. But yeah, I don't know. I have opinions on Rampage. I can't talk about them right now because I'm not going to spoil Rampage. But great show.
Yeah.
Either way, Denver needs more wrestling. I literally went. I went to. Oh yeah, and then Derek asks, so do you think Swerve wins it from Darby? I think that's a feud that they can revisit. I don't know when they revisit it. My feeling is that if they're doing Swerve and Keith probably at Revolution is my thought. If Keith is going to be kind of away and off TV for a minute, then I think that, and then make the comeback whenever it's time to start building toward that match. Yeah, I don't know. I think he could be the one. I would love to see. Here's some fantasy booking. All right. You want to book Miro. You want to see what to do with Miro next. You ready for it? Fantasy booking time. I would book Miro to answer Orange Cassidy's challenge and win the All-Atlantic Championship. I think that all of a sudden we have an international champion again. He's representing Bulgaria. Miro wins the All-Atlantic title.
Yeah.
And then, and don't forget, folks, I agree with the chat. Leave us a thumbs up if you're sitting here watching. Just really quickly, leave us a thumbs up. They always help and help support this show. Same with your super chats. And I've got a couple of Humper chats I still got to read. But hang on, King of the North. I'm getting to that. I think Miro should go on a little bit of a long run, and the person who should dethrone Miro is Takeshita.
That does.
I think if you crown Takeshita in, I'd say like you could even push that to, I don't know. Let's say you put the belt on Miro, Revolution-ish, March, right? I think you could really push that to All Out and have Takeshita that be kind of his crowning moment of dethroning Miro. I think it should be a valiant win over a top heel. That's what I want to see Takeshita get. I think he is born for that All-Atlantic Championship. I absolutely think Takeshita should be the one with the belt, but I think Miro should be the one he beats. That's my fantasy booking.
I like that. I mean, look, if we can't have it the way that I would go, which if you're going to bring in somebody to actually take out Darby and get that TNT title, and you want to make money, and Tony Khan is about making money, if you remember what I was saying, then if you're not going to go with Miro, with Takeshita, then the best way for Tony Khan to make money, baby, is Shane O'Mac. Get that Mac money going again now. Shane McMahon, next TNT champion, baby. Book it, gold, money again. Let's go. Let's go.
I suppose, you know what, though? Trent could win the title tomorrow. Who knows? You have to watch Rampage, I guess, to find out. But, folks, that's it for this edition of Day After Dynamite. Theron Reynolds, where can the people find you?
Guys, you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Axdew. That's AXDEW. Yeah, I know it's weird. It doesn't make any sense there. That's exactly how I got the handle 2 decades ago now as well, too. You can find me on YouTube. Just search T Watches a Scary Movie or go to youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Got a link tree in my bio as well, too. And audio-only versions are up on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Check me out. Yeah, if you like scary movies, that's the show you want to watch, y'all.
The chat is asking, did I talk to Sheeta yesterday? Yes, of course I did.
Of course. Saw that photo.
Yeah. And well, I got to have some good conversations. I'll say that. But otherwise, this was a fun experience. This was a fun week. I was looking forward to this. Got to see a lot of people. Anybody who obviously sent in super chats or just mentioned that they bumped into me. Thank you. I love talking to everybody. And hopefully, if I didn't give you any time, that wasn't intentional. But I always try to make time for anybody who comes up, who tries to say hi. And it was a good time. It was a good time being around everybody. I got to see some old friends as well. Friends I don't get to see very often. Got to go. I had some family members who were going to try and go, and then when they saw the weather was no good, and they were like, look, I am not trying to drive home on a Nissan Altima. I know I'm going to get stuck, and I'm not taking my kids, so I ended up gifting those tickets to another friend, and because it turned out to be a friend's birthday, and so I was like, you know what? Take them. Please take these for your birthday. And so a couple of my other friends got to go, and then it was just a good time. I got to see friends I haven't seen in a long time. Even like we ran into high school friends at the show.
God, yeah, that was throwback. That was throwback now.
Yeah, Jesus. It was. We were literally just working our way to our seats, and all of a sudden, in our row, there's that's it. Anyway, Matthew Makovsky says petition for Dad on January 12th to be 2 hours. I mean, look, if it is truly you know whom, then sure. Let's see. So here we have this one. I want to make sure I read this one. Couple of Humper chats. MC Scammer says, hey, Will, I sent you a large Humper chat last week, but you missed it. Wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, bro. You're my favorite. You're my favorite host, Dad, and Grapsity. Oh, you're my favorite host. Dad and Grapsity are the best shows on YouTube. I see what you're meaning there. I'm like, favorite host, Dad? Okay, is that like a ghost dad like Bill Cosby? I don't know. But he says, much love, brother. Thank you so much. And Pablo sent one in here. Pablo says, sorry, I didn't get the whole thing. I'm trying to get this over here. It keeps deselecting, and it's really angering me. But I'm keeping it under control. Pablo says, no lie, during the hook entrance, I turned to my girlfriend and said we should all be doing the hook, hook, show us the hook chant. Didn't realize it actually goes hook, hook, where's the hook?
There it is. I love that movie. I have a signed copy by Rufio upstairs. So, yeah, I fucking love it. Hook is fantastic.
I just watched that with my kids for the first time because they had never seen it. And I thought, I never showed you Hook. It's time. And we sat down and we watched Hook, and it was good stuff. Ryan says, love, Dad. Good ep so far, guys. Tangentially to Sasha Mercedes Watch 2023. What are your CM Punk return odds after that Dax pod and Punk's response? Happy New Year. Glad you asked. Nobody asked that question. Let's talk about CM Punk. You want to talk about CM Punk? CM Punk. 45%. I know there are certain holdups in AEW. They're not who you think they are. But I know there are certain holdups in AEW that would be that are preventing things from moving forward. But I do think I'm starting to lean towards I think the next place we see CM Punk is on AEW TV. That's my gut feeling. That is my true feeling. You ask what my next 2023 prediction is. I think that one of the things you should have taken away from the Tony Khan interview was Tony talks about CM Punk's time on TV very positively. And I know that's not the way he wanted that to end. And as a fan, just watching that stuff, that's not the way I wanted that to end. I did not want to see CM Punk's run that seemed to be he was having a great year there. People forget that man faced Penta. He was just having the craziest set of matches of can you believe this person's facing CM Punk? The weirdest set of those types of matches. And yet we didn't really get to even scratch the surface of the biggest Punk matches we can get. And I don't think anybody wanted to see the run in that way. No way Tony Khan wanted to see it that way. Right now I'm at 45%, but I feel like I could see it increasing. But it is nice to know that at least on Punk's end, that's what he wants. As Punk tweeted, AE, duh. Or that wasn't a tweet, but it was an Instagram comment. We shall see.
Also, I'm going to point out here really quickly, not on the Punk stage, but Redmond, I would love to have the bunny on my show. And there's a Puppet Master game coming out in March, I believe. And I know that the bunny is all about Puppet Master. And that gave me a reason to watch more than the first 2 Puppet Master movies. So tweet her, let her know that she should come and do the show with me, because that would be fun. That would be so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that's it for this edition of Day After Dynamite. Thank you for being with us. Theron Reynolds. I am Will Washington, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Oh, and real quick, we got a special edition. Me and Denise Salcedo tomorrow. YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo. It's our special. People have been asking us to do it. It's a special edition of After the Week titled After the Year. And we're going to go with our top 3 moments of the year and our worst of the year. So definitely check us out. We will be live. That is tomorrow. Until next time, though, see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.